I freaking adored Sonic the Hedgehog as a kid. One of the first games I owned personally was Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on the GameCube, and a huge chunk of my childhood years was spent consuming anything and everything Sonic the Hedgehog. I remember finally getting to play the classics thanks to the Mega Collection, and watching the franchise go from ups to downs. To help us understand the history of his name, we have to understand his history full stop. Sonic the Hedgehog is a creation of Sega, a video game company and main rival to Nintendo in the 1990s. Nintendo and Sega's console wars through the 90s are stuff of legends. Sega was seen as something of the underdogs in this war, and needed a game and a character that could go head to head with a certain plumber. Their mascot at the time, Alex Kidd, just wasn't cutting it. The story goes that Sega held an in-house competition to design a character that would not only become their mascot, but the lead role in their next huge franchise. Sega employees came up with many odder designs, including dogs, armadillos, rabbits, and even a plump human character who would get retooled later on. The winner of this competition, however, was a Sega artist called Naoto Oshima. He drew up a light blue hedgehog looking character. However, the character wasn't called Sonic at the time, instead going by the name Mr. Needlemouse. It's safe to say that Mr. Needlemouse is a very different name than one we all know today, but I believe the general consensus is that this isn't a name he was ever meant to actually have. It was very much a placeholder name. There's a high chance that you may be thinking to yourself, where on earth did that name come from? What's a needle mouse? Well, if you were to imagine a cross between needles and a mouse, hopefully something akin to a hedgehog comes to mind. Either that or a mouse being used as a pincushion, which isn't the nicest mental image, so apologies if I made you think of that. Needle mouse isn't a name that the people over at Sega created for hedgehogs, however. Hedgehogs have been referred to as needle mice for quite some time, especially in Japanese, as their Japanese name of Harinizumi literally translates into English to mean needle mouse. Japanese has other animal names like this that when translated into English give us funny literal meanings. In example, the Japanese name for the Japanese badger is Anaguma, which translates into meaning hole bear, as they look a bit like bears and live in holes. This means the name Mr. Needlemouse could also be seen as being simply Mr. Hedgehog in its native Japanese, which very much feels like a beta placeholder name for a hedgehog character. Interestingly enough, it was this name of Needlemouse that Sega went back to again in 2009 for something they were initially calling Project Needlemouse, which was eventually revealed to be the game Sonic the Hedgehog 4. Despite how much everyone wanted a return to the side-scrolling style of the older games and finally having a fourth game in the original series, there was a bit of an issue. Sonic 4 sucked. As the character and his debut game carried on developing, so did his name. A key component of the franchise was the main character's speed. Series developer Yuji Naka was inspired to make speed a key component of the game after playing the original Super Mario Bros. Countless times. In an interview, he said that after playing the first level of Mario so many times, he started to blast through it to see how quickly he could complete the level. From here, he thought it would be great if there was a game like Mario centered around being speedy. Sonic is now perhaps best known for his super speed, and Yuji Naka wanted the character to have a name that reflected his speed. In the same aforementioned interview, Naka talked about some of the earlier names they had in mind for the character. He revealed at first they wanted a name that revolved around the word kosuku, which translates into meaning high speed or light speed in Japanese, but alas they couldn't think of a worthy name that revolved around this word. Two other names eventually started being tossed around, those being LS and Raisupi. That first name of LS is pretty simple to understand. It's simply the first letters of the word light and speed. As previously mentioned, they really wanted the character to be named in some way after the speed of light. The other name of Raisupi is a bit more tricky to figure out directly. In that interview, Naka explained that Raisupi is a shortening of the Japanese Ratio Supido. However, he doesn't go into detail into what exactly Ratio Supido actually is. Either way, it doesn't matter too much, as Naka said that these names didn't have a good ring to them. Pun intended, I hope. Names revolving around the speed of light were getting the developers nowhere fast. Instead of looking into names relating to the speed of light, they started to think about names relating to the speed of sound. And it's from here where the word Sonic was thrown into the mix. The word Sonic existed way before the hedgehog. Before being the proper noun geeks and gamers like myself know it as, it was actually an adjective, and of course still is. The OED defines Sonic as of relating to or involving sound or sound wave, especially within the audible range. This means that sonic is a word that actually relates more to sound than speed. This can be seen with the word's etymology too, as it comes from the Latin sonus, which literally just means sound. Despite relating more to sound, the word was used in relation to fast movement too, especially with the term supersonic. Super is also a word with Latin roots too, meaning above, and originally supersonic meant a sound that's frequency was above normal human hearing. Before too long, however, the word speed got attached to the terms sonic and supersonic, which meant to go faster than the speed of sound. Supersonic speeds are no new thing, however. The first invention thought to be able to go at supersonic speeds is actually the bullwhip, with that famous cracking sound being a smaller sonic boom. Since then, many aircrafts have been able to go supersonic and break the sound barrier. Clearly, this adjective of sonic really resonated with the developers. It's a cool sounding word that enough people were familiar with, but not too familiar with. Before the Hedgehog, there wasn't really anything else in the world of fiction the word was heavily linked to, meaning they could make it their own as the name of their hedgehog, and thus the name Sonic the Hedgehog was born. With the name Sonic cemented, it meant the character could become the phenomenon he is today. However, he isn't only known as Sonic, as he has a ton of nicknames too. I previously called him the Blue Blur, which is his most known alias, but the Sonic News Network have a whole list of other nicknames he's been called over the years. I'll be honest, I don't know the context behind all of these, and I'm not going to explain any of them. I just want to share some of them here, as they range from super obvious to super odd. They include Big Blue, Blue Blur, Blue Buffoon, Blue Hedgehog, Blue Rat, Blue Wind, Faker, Iblis Trigger, James, Little Blue Savior, Knave the Hedgehog, Mac, Modern Sonic, Pincushion, Sir Sonic, Knight of the Wind, Snack, Sonar, Speed Demon, The Fastest Thing Alive, The Legendary Blue Blur, Tonic, and the world's fastest hedgehog. Out of all these, James is my favourite. Why he was called James, I'm not too sure. If there's any Sonic lore masters out there watching this video who know the answer to this one, then please let me know. Speaking of Sonic lore, this is where things take an interesting turn. While I've covered original names for Sonic in a behind the scenes sense, he's also had multiple original names in universe too. Actually, in universes might be a better term to use here, as Sega have never really decided on one official backstory, lore, or world for the franchise. Sonic has had different backstories across history and depending on what media he has been in. Yes, Sonic is way more than just a video game series. While a live action movie is still somewhat recent, in the past Sonic has also starred in TV series and comic books. All of these different Sonic mediums have somewhat different backstories for the character. Some even included different original names for him too. A good place to start is with the Sonic the Hedgehog comics published by RickyC Comics. If you aren't aware, this comic series ran from 1992 to 2016, making it one of the longest continually running comics ever. While it started life somewhat following the stories of the original games, it really evolved into its own unique thing, full of characters unique to just the comics. This series gave Sonic a unique backstory, and in these comics it was also revealed that Sonic wasn't his actual name, it was instead a nickname he took on. In these comics, it was revealed that his actual name is Ogilville Maurice Hedgehog. Yeah, not quite as catchy as Sonic. Maurice as his middle name is officially stated in the comic books. That first name of Ogilville isn't actually mentioned in the comic itself, but one of the comic's writers, Ken Penders, has said it was intended to be his name. These two names were given to Sonic as they were the first names of both his grandfathers. It's pretty crazy to know that not only is his actual name Ogilville Maurice, but also he had grandfathers. As mentioned, these comics really fleshed out the characters and world. Also, quick side note, in the more recent Sonic comics published by IDW, Sonic actually lost his memory in an issue, including his own name, so he started calling himself Mr. Needlemouse, another callback to his beta name. Once upon a time, however, Sega did have an official backstory for Sonic. This was called the Sonic Bible, and it was an in-house document meant only for Sega employees to use. It was supposed to be a guideline for Sonic's origins, and employees were to reference it for anything Sonic related. It was constantly changing, however, and is seemingly ignored today, though once this was the official origin for Sonic. In this Bible, Sonic was actually a normal anthropomorphic hedgehog living under a hedge in the town of Hardy, Nebraska. His actual name was also revealed to be Sonny the Hedgehog. He was a fast hedgehog, but it was only when he started working with the friendly Dr. Ovi Kintobor that he turned blue became even quicker and started using the nickname of Sonic. That's a very brief overview of the Sonic Bible, but go read it for yourself, it's pretty crazy stuff. It's also worth noting that the friendly Dr. Kintobor became evil, and that the name Kintobor is just Robotnik spelt backwards. I wouldn't be surprised if his first name of Ovi comes from the Latin for eggs too, ovum, hence the name Dr. Robotnik and Dr. Eggman. Nevertheless, this proves to us that once Sega officially said that Sonic's original name was actually Sonny. While that's the name Sonic originally had, in recent years, people have been using a new name for him, that being the infamous Sanic. This is simply a misspelling of Sonic with an A instead of an O, and this name is usually followed up with a poorly drawn rendition of Sonic. It seems that the name Sanic is used to perhaps capture the more unique, interesting side of the Hedgehog's fanbase. Sonic has become something of a meme in recent years, and it's an image Sega have quite happily allowed their character to adopt, and it's best encapsulated in the name of Sanic.